So that is the scientific, in a sense, rejection of rebirth, most generally speaking. But it's also very fascinating to understand and to realize that there are some very interesting science going on in the area of rebirth. And this is what I want to talk about next. This is the scientific, in a sense, evidence for rebirth. And the most interesting of this scientific evidence is a man who died only a few months ago, a man called Ian Stevenson, who used to teach at the University of Virginia in the United States. It's quite a prestigious university in the US, actually. And he taught there, and he studied what he called past life memories in children. And he studied this over several decades. And this is some of the best scientific evidence which is available for rebirth. And it has made quite an impact in many ways, I think, in the scientific world, although, of course, it's not been accepted. And what he did, he traveled around the world, because there is a phenomenon everywhere around the world, whereby small children tend to recall past lives. They tend to say something, sometimes they go up to their mother and say to their mother, "You know my mother lives over there." And very often the mother gets very upset, and of course I'm your mother, I know more about that than you do. So you shouldn't be so sure about that. But often the child is very insistent that it has some memory of something else. He lived somewhere else before, and he will point to a house, point to a village, talk about people which the parents have never heard about. And this is a global phenomenon, according to this Dr. Ian Stevenson. He did research in the United States, in Europe, in large parts of Asia, in Africa, in the Middle East. And everywhere he found these children who remembered past lives. And of course, I'm sure you can imagine what his methodology was. His methodology was to ask these children in great detail about those memories, and then check out whether that village, that house that they were talking about, those people that they mentioned, those names that the children were talking about, do they actually exist? Are there such places? And he came up with some extraordinarily fascinating results. And some of those cases he had were just not explainable in any scientific way, apart from assuming that there must be something called rebirth, some reason why these children actually could remember these things. Very, very powerful evidence as far as I can see, and very difficult to refute. And I have not heard of anybody who has really successfully refuted this evidence.